there have been a lot of reasons why I have been able to be successful with e-commerce, especially with Google Ads, time and time again. However, the number one thing that outranks everything else, the main reason even why I was able to achieve results like these ones that you see on my screen with Google Ads accounts, regardless of niche, regardless of collections, etc., is conversion rate optimization. And with my own conversion rate optimization strategy, I like to keep things a bit simple and a bit different from what everybody else does. Hence why I'm able to achieve results with my Google Ads campaigns and all of the stuff like that, while the majority of the e-commerce store owners out there are actually struggling. Now, let me in on a very big secret. Proper conversion rate optimization has the potential to increase your ROAS and your revenue, not by just 2x, not by just 3x, but 5x, 10x, even 20x, because I've seen this happen time and time again for multiple e-commerce brands. But again, this comes down to the unfortunate thing, which is 95% of e-commerce store owners don't know what conversion rate optimization is, how to do it properly, etc. And as a result, they either end up completely messing up the entire process, or they don't even bother doing it because they think all of the results they're gonna get is just through clicking a bunch of buttons and looking at colorful charts on their Google Ads dashboard. So when it comes to my own conversion rate optimization strategy and technique, as I mentioned earlier, I like to keep things very simple because, again, I would focus on mostly trying to get more products, sourcing better products, trying to launch better campaign strategies, and all of the stuff related to that. Because yes, at the end of the day, if you don't have the right strategy, none of this matters. But when it comes to my CRO strategy, conversion rate optimization strategy, I divide it into 3 separate phases. Phase number 1, it's called the analyze phase. Phase number 2, optimize phase, and phase number 3 is called the calculate/scaling phase. And we're gonna go over each of these phases, hence why you need to watch this video until the end. But let's start off with the first phase, which is called the analyze phase. What happens in the analyze phase? So as the title mentions, analyze is basically you going inside your Google Ads dashboard, inside your Shopify store, and analyzing different things. So here's exactly what I like to begin looking at. First things first, I'm looking at the overall chart for the last 7 days to the last 14 days. So right now, as you can see, we're currently on this e-commerce brand, which is doing fairly decently. If we look at the analytics right now, we can see that just this last year alone, this e-commerce brand from 95% Google Ads was able to cross $4 million. This is actually an client e-commerce brand under my Google Ads agency, Your Marketing, which if you're doing $30,000 or more per month in revenue, you need a little bit of extra help scaling to the next level with Google Ads. Go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and book a free call with me to see how we can make that happen together. But again, the main metrics I'm looking at to start off this analysis phase is my current conversion rate. And by the way, you want to be looking at this at the most recent time period. So I like to start off with the last 7 days, and I like to take note of what my conversion rate has been in the last 7 days. So we can see that it's a 0.6%, which is honestly not bad because this is a very high ticket store, $300, $500, $1,000 per sale and more. As you can see, the AOV is $513 on any given day on average. So the conversion rate is not bad. It's increased by 43% in the last 7 days. That's the first thing I like to note. I like to look at what is my conversion rate right now, and is it going up or down? Obviously, this is going up because whatever I'm mentioning to you right now, we're already implementing with this e-commerce brand. But let's now look at things a bit further. So instead of just the last 7 days, let's now look at the last 30 days. And by the way, you can also look at the last 14 days as well to kind of get a general idea. So let's go ahead and do that. Hopefully this is the last 14 days. Let me take a look at it really quick. So 1 and then 2, yep. So that's the last 14 days basically. But overall sales were increasing again because of other techniques implemented with the Google Ads side of things. Still not a bad conversion rate. And let's finally look at the last 30 days to make sure that the data that we're getting is accurate data. So in the last 30 days alone, we will be able to see the conversion rate was. So first things first, you got to make sure that you have a clear understanding of where your conversion rate is going. It can either at any given time be going up or it can be going down. So those are the 2 real ways only. Now, on the last 7 days, we definitely saw the conversion rate was on its way upwards, which is a good sign. But let's say that this is not what we want. We want a 1% or above, or whatever your goal is. If you're at a 2%, you should be aiming at a 3% or 4%, 5%, just whatever your goals are at that given time. So that's initially the first number that I'm really looking at in the last 7 days, 14 days, and 30 days. In addition, I'm also looking at the AOV because usually if my AOV is going up, there is a very big chance my conversion rate is going down, which is kind of like a normal side effect of things happening. That's essentially what is going on right here. We're trying to analyze the data. We're trying to get a feel of what is working, what is not working, because this is going to bring us to the next step of the analysis process, which is to understand basically where is the drop off happening within our website. But before we can actually even look at that, there are three major questions I ask myself, and you should definitely ask these questions to yourself as well when in the analysis phase. The first question: what is the most converting page or pages versus what are the least converting pages? You need to know what is converting the most, what is converting the least. The best way to look at that is just by looking at your Google Analytics data. It tells you directly there, or you can also look at some of the reports here within your Shopify dashboard. Now, obviously, you can't really see what I'm scrolling at because for safety reasons, but you gotta get a good idea of what's converting the most, what's not converting, what's the least converting, etc. You gotta figure out where are you getting the most traffic. Are you getting it to your home page, or are you getting it to a different kind of page? Obviously, if you're using Google Ads, it's mostly to a product page. And you wanna also kind of ask yourself, where is your website lacking? So for example, for this example, we're gonna kind of look at 3D printers, because again, I love 3D printers for whatever reason. It has to be part of every video I record. So we're gonna go inside right here, and let's, for example, not even look at toy box. Let's look at something completely different. So let's look at this brand right here and get a good feel of what it could be lacking, what it doesn't really have, because that's going to kind of lead us onto the optimize phase, which is the next phase. So within the analyze phase, I'm basically looking at all of the information. I'm asking myself key questions, which then are going to be the reason or the things that cause me to optimize in a certain way. And keep in mind that I personally love to work off of the 80-20 rule. And for those of you that don't know what the 80-20 rule is, it says that you need to focus your attention on what is bringing 80% of the results, 80% of the traffic or more, and then the rest of the 20%, which is the minor stuff, it's okay if you don't necessarily focus on it, as long as you're focusing on that 80%, which is generating the most results. Hence why I'm looking at what is converting the most, what page is getting the most traffic, because I would rather put my time, energy, and effort on those products or those landing pages which are bringing 80% of the results to my e-commerce brand, which is exactly why I'm analyzing in the first place. That's what I'm trying to figure out here. So that's essentially what I'm doing here. In addition, I'm checking my analytics page for my page drop off. I'm trying to understand what is the page where there is the biggest drop off. So within your analytics section, you can actually get a very good idea of what your bounce rate is for individual pages. So right now, I'm looking at my overview section, my home page. So it says the bounce rate right here, generally for the entire website. You have the ability to go within one of these sections. It should be under behaviors, and then directly look at the bounce rate there, look at the behavior flow and all of that stuff. So that should give you a very clear idea of what the drop off is, what the bounce rate is, because then that's going to lead you to understand where the main issue is. So is it in the landing page? Is it in the cart page? Or is it in the checkout page? This is very essential. One of the most important things I look at to determine how my conversion rate optimization strategy should be for my Google Ads campaigns. And for a majority of you, it should be with the landing pages themselves, because that's where the most improvement is needed. But a good number to look at is a bounce rate of around 50% to 65%. If it's above this number, then that means there is definitely an issue. So if it's, for example, 60% on your landing pages, but then it's 70% on your cart page and 90% on your checkout page, then that tells you that you might need to look into making your checkout pages better. But again, looking at this specific product page that I had with the 3D printer, we can see there's a bunch of stuff that could definitely be improved, because I mean, this looks like a full-on drop shipping store, and that too, a very bad drop shipping store. I mean, they have this announcement bar, and then their product pages, there's way too much stuff going on. They have this rewards thing right here. They have this bottom promotion. They have this messenger. I mean, if there is a website that you shouldn't follow, it should be this one. Maybe this might be the reason why I stopped using 3D printers in my examples in future videos. But for now, looking at this, obviously a lot of optimization improvements that could be made. And this is exactly what CRO is about, by the way. You're just kind of changing these things up until you have a very properly optimized website, which your customers want to interact with when it comes to Google Ads. But again, go through each of these pages, look at the product page, look at your data, see where the data is telling you there is a drop off, and also ask yourself where you think the drop off is. So without even looking at the data for this brand, I can tell you 150% that it's through this landing page where they're making a lot of mistakes and they're missing out on a lot of potential sales. But this should kind of be the phase where you're understanding things, you're analyzing things, because then this is going to take you into the second phase, which is called the optimize phase. Now, very self-explanatory. This is where you actually begin making the changes. But keep in mind, making the change is easy figuring out what works and what doesn't work is the hardest. So when I'm doing conversion rate optimization for my own brand as well as my clients' brands, I'm always noting down on what change exactly I made, why I made that change, all of those things, because later on down the line, it's going to help me understand why I made that change, because I'm pretty much going to forget why I made it 10 days later. But I don't know exactly when it was made and all of that important information. But there's really only two different ways to optimize when it comes to conversion rate optimization. If you're doing a product page change, it's through duplicating this product page. So keeping everything the same, just duplicating this product page, and then changing that one thing you want to start off your conversion rate optimization with. So in this case, it could be anything that you want to change. It could be maybe the announcement bar in the next duplicated page, you don't have the announcement bar. And try around a variety of different things. I recommend you work from top to bottom, left to right. So for example, conversion rate optimization here, I would start off with the test ad. If that's good, great. Move on to the next one. This one, announcement bar. Test one product page where there is no announcement bar. Test this one, and then see what the results are, and then make my way down. So the next thing I would test is maybe the add to cart button versus the buy it now button. Maybe I just want to leave one on one product page, and the other product page I just want to have both. And then you just work your way down. That's one way to go about doing CRO in this phase, which is the optimize phase. The second way is to just do whatever change you want right here on this individual product page. So instead of making any duplicates, just make the change here. Just take out the timer now here and try it out for a few days. And I'm gonna go over very shortly as to how many days you should wait and all of that stuff. But this is essentially what you want to know when it comes to the optimizations, what different things that you can do and how you can go about doing this. Because once you optimize, once you change something, it's all about calculating and then figuring out what the result is before scaling further. So in this phase, the calculate phase, as I like to call it, this is the phase where you're understanding everything, the change that you made, you're looking at the data and you're figuring out the data. So you want to calculate the percent change of whatever happened in that given time. And by the way, now talking about specifically how long to wait, you should give every change 14 to 21 days or a minimum of 10,000 impressions before coming to a conclusion. So for majority of e-commerce store owners out there, it's between 14 days to 21 days. That's just how much a individual kind of spends in terms of ad spend every single day. That's how long it takes to get that data coming back in. But if you're spending like $50,000 a day, obviously just wait for 10,000 impressions or more. In your case, might be 20,000, 25,000, and then determine what the result is off of that data right there. So again, 10,000 impressions is a minimum. And then what you want to do after you have 10,000 impressions is now go back, and again, this could be looking at 14 days worth of data, 17 days, whenever you cross that 10,000 threshold, and compare the data to the X number of days that you waited for this test to complete. So let's say it's been 14 days and now you have over 10,000 impressions. Compare this data to the past 14 days before you made the change, and then to the recent time period, and just understand if the change that you made resulted in a positive ROAS, if it resulted in a positive CVR conversion rate, or if it resulted in a positive or negative bounce rate. Those three main metrics, ROAS, conversion rate, and bounce rate, are the ones that are going to tell you whether this change you made was a good change or whether this change you made was a bad change. And let that be the deciding factor of what you do next. And basically the last step of this process is to essentially repeat the entire process. But this is the exact 3-step process I'm going through every single e-commerce brand when it comes to Google Ads, to understand not only what is going wrong, but then to actually change what is going wrong and continue this process over and over and over again until I finally end up improving my conversion rates, until, as you can see, conversion rates improve by 43%, by 70%, and so on and so forth. And by the way, it's very doable to increase it significantly, but it takes time, it takes consistent effort. But again, same thing I'm doing with a lot of my e-commerce brands, which if you're currently doing $30,000 or more per month in revenue with Google Ads, you need just a little bit of extra help scaling to the next level with your e-commerce brand. Go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and book a free call with me to see how we can possibly work together and make it happen. But if you found any type of value in this video, make sure to destroy that like button, destroy that subscribe button, and watch any of these 2 videos right in front of my face, which can help you with your Google Ads journey. And I will see you in my next video.